The Immortal John Hancock here, and have new Evercade carts to share with you. These are going to be available at the end of the month for $29.99 a piece on Amazon. The affiliate link will be below. And I know a lot of people are excited about finally getting Neo Geo games on the Evercade systems. Multiple ways of playing this, whether you have the Super Pocket Pro, the Alpha, the Versus R, the EXP R, or original hardware. You can enjoy these with the Evercade system of hardware, and I've covered lots of Evercade on my channel. You can check it out. I have a dedicated playlist to Evercade hardware and software. I've covered a majority of it, and here it is. Neo Geo full color manual, 6 games included on this cart. I do want to give a warning that the upcoming gameplay does include flashing lights, so heads up to those that are sensitive to that. And let's jump in. You know, honestly, the original releases are super expensive. The first one is an unusual one, an offering on the Neo Geo CD originally in '96, and this is Ironclad, and this is a great shooter. It's got unique graphics, and it's a horizontal shooter. Fantastic. I really like the graphics of this game. I don't have a lot of experience with this. The original release is super expensive. So offering this on physical for people that have Evercade hardware, fantastic. It's a great shooter, and I think it's one that people are going to love and appreciate. And you know what? As a Neo Geo fan, I probably have the least experience with this classic shooter, as it was a Neo Geo CD release. I know that there were some like aftermarket offerings of this, but you know what? Amazing game, great graphics, and I think this is a solid offering on Neo Geo Arcade 1. Magician Lord was far from perfect. It was a launch title for the original Neo Geo, and you know what? It's a nice mix of some classic action titles, a little bit of Alter Beast, a little bit of Rastan, a little bit of Ghouls and Ghosts. And you know what? It's an imperfect platformer, very difficult to actually beat this years ago with friends. Very challenging game, but I enjoy this release, and I'm really excited to see it offered here as, you know what, it's a platformer and well done, and it showed the capabilities early on of what Neo Geo hardware could do. And I enjoy this release more than most people, but you know what? I'm glad it's offered here on Neo Geo Arcade 1, as to me, it was the kickoff for what the Neo Geo could do for hardware, and I like the soundtrack of this. Next up, you have another early release for Neo Geo, and that's Sangoku, and this is a brawler, 2-player, so this is a great cart to play on the Versus hardware. This is part of a series. There's 2 other offerings on Neo Geo, and this is by far the weakest of the 3. And you know what? It hasn't aged necessarily well, but it is cool. You can transform into different shapes. There was a lot of things about transforming into other characters that was popular of the time period. But you know what? I'm glad it's offered here. It shows an early success for the Neo Geo. This was a fairly successful arcade release, and you know what, if you want to relive some early iconic classic Neo Geo releases, this is not bad. You know what, by far I would rather play the other in the series, but you know what, for some people you're going to have some nostalgia playing this. Shock Troopers is a run and gun, and it really demonstrates the evolution of what the Neo Geo was capable of, released originally in arcades in 1997. And for many, this is a fantastic release, and it adds some diversity to the Neo Geo Arcade 1 offerings. There's 6 games on here, and while some people would wish that were more game offerings per cart, it still breaks down to only $5 per game. And when you look at the original releases, this is still by far probably one of the most affordable ways of getting Neo Geo games licensed on physical carts. And these are good games too. So Shock Troopers to me is one of the more stronger offerings on this first cart for Neo Geo. There's going to be 2 others playing Neo Geo Arcade 2 and 3. with probably some more offerings down the road. I do think this is a solid release and by far one of my favorites. The next one is an unusual offering for Neo Geo Arcade 1, and it's King of Fighters 2000. And this was the last King of Fighters game offered before SNK originally went bankrupt way back when. And so offered originally in 2000, it was ported to several consoles like many other Neo Geo games. And you know what? This is a solid King of Fighters game. I don't think it's everybody's favorite. For some it might be. It had an additional striker system, and it added some new moves and combos with a wide roster. This is a good King of Fighters. You know, for me, it's hard for me to single out a specific King of Fighters that I prefer. I would probably say King of Fighters 98 just for nostalgia reasons. But you know, there's lots of great things about this King of Fighters version, and I'm glad it was offered here. The original Metal Slug rounds out a nice selection of 6 Neo Geo games offered on Neo Geo Arcade 1. This classic 1996 run and gun is a fantastic game, and it really demonstrated at the time a pinnacle of what aging hardware could still offer, and it blows away so many other types of games on other platforms. This is a fantastic game, one of my favorite series for the Neo Geo. This version is not my favorite of the series, but I'm glad they started with the original, as to me it's good to show the roots of where an iconic franchise came from, and this really identified what the Neo Geo could be capable of. Fantastic animations, and there's so much going on with the graphics on the screen. In the comments, let me know what your favorite Metal Slug game is. Next offering is an indie game made for originally the Amiga, and this is Roadcraft Deluxe, and this was a modern indie game offered on the Amiga in 2024, I do believe, and then with updates is now offered on the Evercade. And this is a single game release. Now, it's a good game. It is unusual to have an Evercade cart with just a single release, and I think this might be an option for those that want to play something new. But for others that are wanting multiple game experiences, maybe for classic games, this may not be up your alley, but that's all right. It's nice that they're offering continued support for aftermarket games and something fresh and new. And so Roadcraft is a game I haven't played before. It comes with a full color manual, and this is a fantastic game for those that want to play. And it looks like it's going to be offered at the end of the month alongside with the Neo Geo Kart 1. Here it is. Here's the cart. And let's jump into some basic gameplay. There's achievements, there's instructions, there's high scores, and this is a turn-based game, and I really like the simplistic gameplay of this. It looks good, as you know what, Amiga had fantastic capabilities for graphics, and it's awesome to see that. It's one of 3 characters. You go around with a randomized dungeon and enemies and all sorts of secrets in this game, as you can play over and over again with a different experience every time. And so if you're into these types of games, you may want to consider this. And this is part of the computer line for the Evercade. They have 3 main lines. They have the standard releases, then they have the arcade offerings, as well as the computer line and blue carts. So you can check out on their website all the amazing games that are coming. They have lots of Taito coming, as well as Rare, and there's different hardware depending on what you want to play with. Versus is the way to play with a friend easily, but then there's the EXP-R, which is a great handheld, and they're constantly offering new hardware versions, and there's new releases just for hardware if you just want to get the hardware. And then you have the Alpha, which is like a countertop arcade offering. And then one of my favorites is the Super Pocket Pro, which is a budget release handheld, and you can play all the cartridges for one of these hardware offerings. You can check out more info, and thank you so much for visiting my channel. If you like what you see, Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.